Physical characters suck. Now, before I get into the video, if you'd like to keep up with any videos that I put out in the future, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll be leaving a link to my Discord and my Twitch in the description. Now, when I say physical characters suck, I don't mean characters that do physical damage. I'm purely talking about characters that only scale with physical damage. Characters that don't have split scalings. And there was a huge issue with this in Smite 1 where it felt as though magical characters just had the upper hand in basically every aspect. Hell, there was a whole meta where mages were the go-to solos. Um, in this game, it's hell of a lot more apparent. Um, Save for like a couple characters like Susanoo, maybe Jingwei, and Hercules. The rest of the characters who have only physical scalings suffer hard, and the characters that have dual scalings tend to be the ones that perform the best. Neath, um, you have Chalk, who right now is arguably one of the best solo laners in the game right now. You have Cupid, who even though he's mid, he can still do crazy things simply because he has the ability to scale into intelligence, which gives crazy stats, mind you. Now, I did mention this a little bit in my previous video with what I think the problem is in solo laners, and I kind of want to go more in depth with it in this video. If we just take a look here, right? I mentioned it before when it came to solo laners, when it came to magical defensive items and hybrid items. If you look at physical protection, you know, they have shifters, they have Helm of Radiance, which nobody builds, but it's still there. They have what do you call this? They have this crazy card, Yogi's Necklace. They have what else? They have Glad Shield. They have Berserker Shield. They have Pharaoh's Curse, which in most cases, you know, a lot of people will build this into auto attackers, but for the most part, you're only really going to be building this against physical DPSs. They have Spectral, um, Shield of the Phoenix. They have Mystic Mail. You know what we have for magical defense? We have nothing. We don't have anything that kind of gives you a bruiser-esque type of item. And not to say that there isn't good magical defense items, because obviously there's only Hunter's Garb, obviously there's Talisman of Purification, and obviously there's Genji's. But outside of that, what else do they have? Shogun's is a horrible card right now. There's no real point to build it. Um, that's basically it. That's all. That's the only other option we have for magical defense. Well, if you look at the hybrid items, you can notice that most of the hybrid items that have magical protections have intelligence scaling, save for Eye of the Storm. But Eye of the Storm hurts you. You know, it dual scale, so it has physical and magical protection, so you can't really count this card. But physical protection, they have so many options, two of which are meta in both the support and the solo laner build. Now, when we're looking at DPSs, well, physical DPSs still have really good cards. You can primarily build into strength items, i.e., like with characters like Zeus and Soul who have physical scaling on their auto attack. So this build is nice. However, what about for ability-based people? Well, intelligence people who have dual scalings, they get Bracer the Abyss. This is a busted intelligence card because it not only gives attack speed and cooldown rate, but it makes your basic attacks hit harder whenever you hit ability. Well, they also have access to, i.e., for somebody like Chalk, they have access to Gem of Focus. They have access to Cosmic Horror. They have access to Chronos Pendant. They have access to all these items that will benefit them and scale even harder. And the fact that these items give way more power comparatively to intelligence. Like, let's just look at a basic card, right? Soul Gem, an item that's built on most hybrid scaling solo laners or intelligence based solo laners. This gives 75 intelligence, 15% 15% lifesteal and cooldown, and it still does the same thing from Smite 1, where you basically get a heal based off of your intelligence, which is nice. Not only do solos not have anything like that, but let's look at a card that's more meta for them. Well, Jotun's Revenge, this card is mid, doesn't really do much. You know, it only really benefits you when you get a kill and assist, but it only gives 35 strength. Well, let's look at Hydra's. Only gives 45 strength, no pen. Let's look at the Reaper. Only gives 30 strength with 25% lifesteal, which is massive, but you only gain increased stats with this if you manage to get a kill, which is easier said than done. Titan's Bane, they took pen off of this. Brawler's Ruin, it has pen, but it only has 45 strength. You have Bloodforge, only 45 strength, 15% intelligence, and attack speed. Well, let's look at intelligence. Divine Ruin, the anti-heal equivalent, gives 80 intelligence with 5% pen. Well, the Gemma Focus version, Tekko Kaji, only gives 15 cooldown rate and strength. This one gives 20 cooldown, 40 intelligence, and I believe it gives more movement speed as well. 3%. Nope. 15 intelligence. And let's see. This Tekko Kaji doesn't even give you power, but Gemma Focus does. Like, you can very obviously see that the devs are very intelligence biased. Like, it's not to say that physical characters can't compete with other mages, but as of right now, it's just so difficult to compete with them from an early and mid game standpoint, and then they still have all these other late game items to go along with. Hell, even hunters right now who have dual scalings are building items that have primarily intelligence or dual scaling. They're really not even focusing on this, and crit is a joke right now. Crit hurts, but again, a physical defense item that reduces crit chance and attack speed for just being there, while also giving health and protections. And it's a passive effect, it's not even an active. So crit chance, if one person slaps on this item right here, it's over. But you can't do anything about somebody gaining a bunch of extra movement speed. You can't do anything about somebody doing both, getting dual scaling with strength and intelligence. They're just going to hit you harder. You can't really do anything about that. Which is why I think that items that give auras need to make a comeback into this game to kind of help balance this out. I do think there needs to also be more bruiser-esque options for magical protections. Like, there should be a physical version of Sphere of Negation. There should be a physical version, or a magical version of Glad Shield. There should be a magical version of Berserker Shield. And these items should block you from being able to use the physical versions of them, like I mentioned in my previous video. Like, if you wanted to build Glad Shield, but you're going against a magical solo laner, well, you build the magical protection version of Glad Shield, and instead of 40 physical protection, it gives you 40 magical protections. That way, there's a balance, and you can't build both. You can only build one. Like, there should be a magical version of Berserker Shields, and that should have been. It should have been Shoguns, but Shoguns just isn't good right now. So, there's that. And then if we just take a look back at the god selections, look at all the characters that are currently meta, or you currently see all the time. You're either going to see a bunch of mages, and the mage is either going to build like magical DPS, or it's going to be like Zeus, and they're going to build like a hunter, or you're going to run into characters who have dual scalings. You're going to run into Cupid. You're going to run into Amaterasu. You're going to run into Chalk. You're going to run into and in some cases, you'll run into Mordred. Some cases, you'll run into Nemesis. You're definitely going to run into Neith. And you're for sure going to run into, what do you call it? Sobek, Raw, Soul, occasionally Susanoo. And like I said, there's really only a handful of characters that will do or perform really well with just physical scaling, but they're so far and few between, or they're difficult to play, i.e. Susanoo. Or they just get outclassed by some of the other gods, like Hercules. Hercules was dumb when he first came out, albeit he was really stupid. And then the very next patch, or 2 patches later, they added Sobek, who completely counterpicks him, and they gave him an execute. Like, what are we talking about right now? It's just very obvious to me that the devs are very magical focused, which there's really nothing wrong with that, to be honest, but there needs to be some kind of balance between the two. There should be an equally strong physical version or physical god that can compete with all of these magical-based or hybrid-based characters. That's basically all I have on the issue. If you liked the video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Thank y'all for your time, and y'all take care.